Could it be that First Blood was more than an action thriller, serving instead as the starting point for real-life stories even more compelling than what appeared on screen? Beyond chasing Rambo through rugged mountains, the cast experienced lives marked by success, heartbreak, and surprising turns of fate. Stay with us as we reveal their true identities, current ages, and what became of them more than 4 decades later. Taking on the role of Troutman was Richard Crenna. Growing up in Los Angeles, California, Richard Crenna entered the world on November 30th, 1926. When he was 56 years old, he portrayed Colonel Samuel Troutman in First Blood, 1982, the military officer who recognized the emotional scars carried by John Rambo. Through his composed leadership, he grounded the movie and added emotional depth, making Troutman the one figure who could truly connect with Rambo. Away from the cameras, his personal journey included significant challenges and changes. In 1950, he exchanged vows with Joan Grisham, but the marriage ended after 5 years as opportunities in radio, television, and film continued to grow. A more lasting chapter began in 1957 when he married Penny Sweeney, and together they built a family life that endured for over 40 years. Eventually, serious health concerns became part of his story. A diagnosis of thyroid cancer required extensive medical treatment while he remained active in the entertainment industry. Although he successfully recovered and continued acting in Rambo-related productions and television projects, another battle emerged later when pancreatic cancer was detected. The final chapter of his life arrived on January 17, 2003. At 76 years old, Richard Crenna passed away in Los Angeles, with heart failure connected to pancreatic cancer reported as the cause of death. His passing marked the end of an extraordinary career that ranged from childhood radio work to major Hollywood productions, highlighted by his memorable portrayal of Colonel Troutman alongside Sylvester Stallone. Financially, his years of dedication brought considerable success. By the time of his passing, his estimated net worth stood at approximately $10 million. That fortune reflected decades spent delivering some of the most respected performances in American film and television history. Stepping into the role of Teasel was Brian Dennehy. His life began in Bridgeport, Connecticut on July 9, 1938. At the age of 42, he brought Sheriff Will Teasel to life in First Blood, 1982, the determined lawman whose pursuit of John Rambo drives much of the story's tension. Through his powerful performance, Teasel became the central human antagonist responsible for escalating the conflict. Yet beyond the screen, some of Dennehy's toughest struggles unfolded within his personal life. His first marriage began during his years in military service. While serving in the U.S. Marines, he married Judith Sheff in 1959, and the couple welcomed 3 daughters before he completed college. As his fame grew through projects such as First Blood and later Cocoon, pressure gradually weakened the relationship until their divorce in 1987 after nearly 30 years together. A new beginning followed when he married Jennifer Arnott in 1988, bringing renewed stability and eventually expanding their family with 2 more children. Later in life, health complications became increasingly difficult to overcome. Years of demanding film work and stage performances took a toll as recurring infections repeatedly required medical attention. During his final years, matters became far more serious when sepsis developed from a severe infection, threatening multiple vital organs. His final chapter arrived on April 15, 2020. Brian Dennehy died in New Haven, Connecticut at the age of 81 after cardiac arrest resulting from sepsis. He left behind his wife Jennifer Arnott and 5 children, including actress Elizabeth Dennehy, along with a legacy spanning film, television, and Broadway. Professionally, his long career translated into substantial financial success. By the time of his passing, his estimated net worth had reached roughly $12 million. Those earnings reflected more than 50 years of work that established him as one of the most respected character actors of his era. Portraying Rambo himself was Sylvester Stallone. Born in New York City on July 6, 1946, Stallone would go on to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. At 36 years old, he took on the role of Rambo in First Blood, 1982, a troubled Vietnam veteran pursued through the wilderness by law enforcement. His intense and emotionally charged performance helped transform the movie into a worldwide phenomenon and cemented Rambo's place among cinema's greatest action heroes. However, his real-life struggles proved every bit as challenging as those faced by his famous character. His personal relationships often unfolded under intense public scrutiny. In 1974, he married Sasha Chalk and became the father of 2 sons, Sage and Sergio. But the pressures of fame generated by Rocky and later Rambo gradually damaged the marriage before it ended in 1985. Shortly afterward, he surprised the entertainment world by marrying Danish actress Brigitte Nielsen, though the highly publicized union lasted only 2 turbulent years. A more enduring partnership arrived with Jennifer Flavin, whom he married in 1997 and with whom he raised 3 daughters. Yet even that relationship faced uncertainty in 2022 when Flavin filed for divorce after 25 years together, creating a deeply public family crisis. Meanwhile, the physical demands of his career were leaving lasting consequences on his body. While his personal life faced repeated challenges, years of performing intense action scenes and enduring injuries began exacting a heavy toll. While shooting Rocky V, Sylvester Stallone challenged Dolph Lundgren to throw real punches during a fight sequence. One blow landed with such force that Stallone was hospitalized in intensive care for 4 days after suffering severe swelling around his heart. Later, during the production of The Expendables, a fight scene with Steve Austin resulted in a broken neck, leading to surgery and the insertion of a metal plate in his spine. Long before those incidents, while working on Escape to Victory, he fractured a finger while trying to stop a penalty kick taken by soccer icon Pelé. Every setback brought him closer to lasting physical consequences, but Stallone repeatedly returned to demanding action roles that most performers would avoid. By 2026, Sylvester Stallone reached the age of 80 and remains one of Hollywood's most enduring stars. Today, he focuses on producing projects, making occasional screen appearances, and enjoying more time with Jennifer Flavin and their daughters after overcoming decades filled with injuries, turmoil, and personal struggles. The actor, once dismissed because of his voice and looks, eventually created a global entertainment empire through franchises such as Rocky, Rambo, and The Expendables, helping him accumulate an estimated fortune of roughly $400 million. Bill McKinney as Kern. Born on September 12, 1931, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Bill McKinney was 51 years old when he portrayed Kern, one of Sheriff Teasel's ruthless deputies in First Blood, 1982. Although his screen time was limited, his intimidating and hostile performance heightened the movie's tension and strengthened the pressure that drove Rambo toward his breaking point. Away from the spotlight, McKinney's private life proved far more turbulent than many viewers ever suspected. Over the years, he married multiple times, including unions with Felicity June Bow, Janelle Booth, Donna LaManna, and Norma Shannon, yet every marriage eventually came to an end. That recurring instability reflected many of the troubled figures he frequently brought to life on screen. Behind his professional success, McKinney found it difficult to sustain long-term relationships while raising his son, Clinton McKinney, and navigating the uncertainty of an acting career. Serious medical issues emerged gradually, eventually taking a heavy toll. Despite advancing age and the demands of the industry, he remained active in film and television, appearing in productions such as The Green Mile and Back to the Future Part 3. As the years passed, physicians diagnosed him with esophageal cancer, a severe illness that steadily weakened his body as it progressed. On December 1, 2011, Bill McKinney passed away in San Fernando, California, at 80 years old following a battle with esophageal cancer. Despite spending decades in the entertainment business, he never achieved the wealth of many leading stars and left behind an estimated net worth of around $1 million. Much of that fortune came from supporting performances that nevertheless helped shape several memorable motion pictures. Jack Starrett as Galt. Born on November 2, 1936 in Refugio, Texas, Jack Starrett was 46 years old when he took on the role of Galt, the abusive deputy who torments John Rambo in First Blood, 1982. Through his menacing performance, Starrett helped spark one of the film's most dramatic turning points, transforming Rambo's silent endurance into open conflict with the town. Beyond the cameras, however, his personal circumstances were deteriorating in ways even harsher than the characters he portrayed on screen. He married soap opera actress Felicity Starrett, and together they welcomed a daughter, Jennifer Starrett. Over time, the marriage fell apart under the strain of Hollywood life and its many pressures. Another marriage to Karen M. Foreman later ended in divorce as well, leaving Starrett increasingly alone. Gradually, the hardened personalities he played on screen began to resemble the difficulties unfolding in his own world.
Before long, alcohol became a dominant force in his daily life. As directing opportunities diminished and acting work slowed following projects such as The River, his dependence on drinking worsened significantly. What began as a habit eventually damaged his health, placing constant pressure on his body until kidney failure developed. On March 27, 1989, Jack Starrett died in Sherman Oaks, California, at the age of 52 after experiencing kidney failure associated with years of alcoholism. News of his passing stunned many colleagues because it arrived unexpectedly and cut short the life of a performer who was still working in the industry. Though he built a career across acting, directing, and television, he never enjoyed great financial rewards and left behind an estimated net worth of approximately $500,000. Even so, his legacy endures through a body of work that showcased a commanding screen presence in several unforgettable productions. Michael Talbot as Balford. Michael Talbot was born on February 2, 1955, in Waverly, Iowa, United States. At just 27 years old, he appeared as Deputy Balford, the uneasy young officer drawn into Sheriff Teasel's pursuit of Rambo in First Blood, 1982. Though his role was relatively brief, it contributed significantly to the growing tension of the story by illustrating how quickly ordinary lawmen became entangled in the turmoil surrounding Rambo. In contrast to many of his fellow cast members, Talbot's life outside the production remained considerably more private and stable. Later in life, he settled down and created a quiet family life while working through the unpredictable nature of a television acting career. His professional fortunes took a major leap forward after he secured the role of Detective Stanley Swike in the successful crime drama Miami Vice from 1984 to 1989, ultimately becoming a familiar presence on television screens across America. During that same period, he also appeared in movies such as National Lampoon's Vacation, demonstrating impressive versatility between dramatic and comedic performances without ever being positioned as a traditional Hollywood leading star. In contrast to many performers of his generation, Talbot managed to stay clear of the serious health controversies and substance abuse problems that damaged so many careers in the entertainment business. Rather than chasing headlines, he dedicated himself to consistent acting work and personal passions, appearing in television programs like MASH and later partnering with organizations involved in firearms and tactical instruction. Although his mainstream visibility declined following the conclusion of Miami Vice, Talbot remained engaged with his supporters and continued contributing to projects linked to both entertainment and firearms circles. By 2026, Michael Talbot has reached the age of 71 and resides peacefully in Waverly, Iowa, remaining in the hometown where his life first began. Following many years in film and television, he now spends most of his days away from the Hollywood spotlight, while occasionally attending fan gatherings celebrating Miami Vice and classic films from the 1980s. Today, his decades of work in television have helped him accumulate an estimated net worth of roughly $2 million, reflecting the success of a dependable performer who secured a permanent place in pop culture without embracing the turmoil often associated with fame. Taking on the role of Ward was Chris Mulkey. Born on May 3, 1948, in Viroqua, Wisconsin, Chris Mulkey was 32 years old when he portrayed Ward, one of the anxious deputies involved in the pursuit of Rambo in First Blood, released in 1982. Throughout the film, his portrayal strengthened the tension and uncertainty surrounding the local police department as events rapidly spun beyond anyone's control. Away from the cameras, however, Mulkey faced personal challenges and emotional struggles of his own. In 1972, he entered his first marriage with Lorraine M. Smith. Unfortunately, the union came to an end through divorce in 1978 as he continued fighting to establish himself within the acting profession. A brighter future appeared within reach when he married actress and artist Karen Landry in 1981. Together, the couple shared creative ambitions and eventually wrote and starred in the independent feature Patty Rocks, which later earned a jury prize at Sundance. Beneath that artistic success, however, existed a reality filled with demanding schedules and financial strain as Mulkey worked to sustain his career through projects such as Twin Peaks and Boardwalk Empire. Years afterward, the greatest hardship arrived when Karen Landry's health began to deteriorate severely. During her prolonged battle with serious illness, Mulkey continued appearing in productions like Captain Phillips and The Purge, while balancing professional responsibilities with the demands of caregiving. On December 31, 2015, Landry passed away, leaving him devastated after more than 30 years of marriage, and forcing him to continue raising their daughters while carrying on with his acting career.
Even in 2026, Chris Mulkey remains active in entertainment at 78 years old. Alongside his film and television work, he continues performing music with his band and regularly appears at festivals and public events throughout the United States. After spending decades building a reputation in Hollywood through projects such as Whiplash and Better Call Saul, he has accumulated an estimated net worth of around $4 million as one of the industry's most dependable character actors. Portraying Orville was John McLean. Entering the world on January 24, 1918 in Alberta, Canada, John McLean was 62 years old when he appeared as Orville, the reserved helicopter pilot caught up in the growing pursuit of Rambo in First Blood, released in 1982. Though his screen time was limited, the character's actions had major consequences that helped set one of the movie's earliest tragedies into motion. Away from filmmaking, McLean's life was defined by discipline, commitment, and a lifelong devotion to acting. After marrying Roberta Williams, he built a stable family environment while steadily working across numerous film and television productions. Over the years, his resume expanded through acclaimed projects including My Fair Lady, In Cold Blood, and The Missouri Breaks. Despite rarely receiving leading man opportunities from Hollywood, McLean maintained a remarkably active career across stage productions, television shows, and films. Eventually, serious health challenges began affecting his life more dramatically. Diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, he faced a progressive illness that gradually reduced his mobility and strength. As his condition worsened, doctors also identified skin cancer, requiring repeated treatments while he attempted to remain involved in television and film work. Over time, the combined effects of both illnesses steadily weakened his overall health during the closing chapter of his life. On April 16, 1994, John McLean passed away in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles at the age of 76 due to complications related to melanoma skin cancer and Parkinson's disease. Following his death, he was buried at Santa Barbara Cemetery in California, where his resting place continues to honor a career devoted largely to supporting roles that left a lasting impact on many memorable films. By the end of his life, McLean's financial success was estimated at roughly $1 million, accumulated through many years of consistent work in film, television, and theater. Taking on the role of Lester, Alf Humphreys left a memorable impression. Entering the world on August 9, 1953, in Haileybury, Ontario, Canada, Alf Humphreys would later become known for numerous supporting roles. When he was 22 years old, he portrayed Deputy Lester, the young officer involved in Sheriff Teasel's relentless pursuit of Rambo in First Blood, 1982. Though the screen time was limited, the character played an important role in illustrating how panic and hostility spread throughout the police force during the search. Away from Hollywood, however, his personal journey was considerably more peaceful, though filled with family commitments. Sharing his life with Elizabeth Moss, Humphreys helped create a blended household that included 3 children, Cass, Cariston, and Ainsley. Throughout those family years, he steadily accepted supporting parts in productions such as My Bloody Valentine and later the hit film X2, X-Men United. Rather than chasing celebrity status, he earned respect as a reliable character actor capable of moving effortlessly between horror, drama, and television projects. Eventually, a devastating health challenge altered the course of his life. At one point in his career, Humphreys received the difficult diagnosis of brain cancer, a disease that gradually weakened him while he remained professionally active. Despite continuing to appear in productions like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and television series including The X-Files, the illness progressed rapidly over time. As medical treatments and hospital appointments became routine, acting eventually had to take a back seat. Sadly, on January 31, 2018, Alf Humphreys passed away in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, at the age of 64, following a battle with brain cancer. With his death, a nearly 4-decade career spanning film, television, and theater quietly came to a close. Even though he never sought widespread fame, his contributions remained valuable across countless productions. By the time of his passing, his earnings were estimated at approximately $1 million from years of dependable supporting performances. Known to audiences as Mitch, David Caruso became one of the film's most recognizable cast members. Born on January 7, 1956, in Queens, New York, United States, Caruso would go on to build a major television career. At age 22, he portrayed Deputy Mitch, the lone officer who questions the mistreatment of John Rambo in First Blood, 1982. Through this role, he provided one of the few voices of conscience within the sheriff's department, suggesting that not every officer supported the violent pursuit.
Behind the scenes, however, his personal experiences proved much more complicated than his later television image suggested. In 1979, Caruso married Sherry Moggins, but the relationship ended in 1984 while he was still trying to gain a foothold in Hollywood. Not long afterward, he wed actress Rachel Ticotin, and together they welcomed a daughter into their lives. Even that marriage came to an end by 1987 as he continued appearing in films such as King of New York and Mad Dog and Glory. Later, his third marriage to Margaret Buckley lasted from 1996 until 2007 and resulted in 2 children. Following the separation, additional controversy emerged when former partner Liza Marquez filed legal claims involving financial arrangements connected to their children. Throughout these events, professional demands continued adding pressure to an already turbulent life. The breakthrough finally arrived when Caruso starred in NYPD Blue, a performance that earned him a Golden Globe Award. Yet his sudden departure from the successful series, driven by salary disputes, surprised industry executives. As subsequent films like Jade and Kiss of Death underperformed financially, his career entered a difficult period. Years later, a remarkable comeback arrived through the enormous success of CSI Miami. Thanks to his portrayal of Horatio Kane, he became a television icon recognized for sunglasses, dramatic pauses, and memorable one-liners. Today, as of 2026, David Caruso is 70 years old and largely enjoys life away from public attention. Following the conclusion of CSI Miami, he chose to retire from acting and leave Hollywood behind. These days, his focus centers more on business investments and art-related interests than film sets. After decades marked by both success and controversy, he now lives a considerably quieter lifestyle. Altogether, his acting and production work have helped him build an estimated net worth of around $35 million.
Appearing as Shingleton in the film, David L. Crawley played a small but notable part in the story. Born around 1945 in Lebanon, Crawley later established both his career and personal life in North America. At roughly 32 years old, he portrayed Deputy Shingleton, one of the officers assisting Sheriff Teasle during the hunt for Rambo in First Blood, 1982. Even though the role was relatively minor, it reinforced the image of an entire police force united against a single troubled veteran. Compared with the dramatic events depicted on screen, Crawley's professional life unfolded with far less attention and controversy. Rather than pursuing leading man status, he focused on dependable supporting roles throughout his career. Across the 1980s and 1990s, he appeared in television series such as MacGyver, Dallas, and Hill Street Blues. Alongside those appearances, he also secured parts in films including Cocktail and The Gray Fox. Unlike many performers whose lives were shaped by scandals or major health battles, Crawley gradually drifted away from Hollywood as the industry evolved. By the early 2000s, he had appeared in programs such as The Practice and recurring roles on Babylon 5. In 2004, he quietly brought his acting career to an end through retirement. For many longtime viewers, his sudden absence from television remained an unexpected development after years of familiar appearances. If he were alive in 2026, David L. Crawley would be approximately 81 years old today. After stepping away from acting, almost no public details surfaced regarding the later chapters of his life. Throughout his years in the industry, he built an estimated net worth of roughly $500,000. A figure that reflected the career of a dependable character actor who contributed to numerous film and television productions before eventually disappearing from the spotlight. Taking on the role of Preston was Don McKay. Entering the world on July 8, 1931, McKay was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. During the production of First Blood in 1982, he was 52 years old when he portrayed Preston, one of the officers participating in the increasingly intense manhunt for Rambo. Through his performance, audiences witnessed the mounting pressure within the sheriff's department as the situation with Rambo rapidly descended into chaos. Far away from the glamour of Hollywood, McKay's personal life remained remarkably grounded. In 1955, he married Jessie McKay, and together they spent decades building a family while raising their sons Jerry, Peter, and David. Alongside his strong family commitments, he steadily expanded his acting resume with supporting appearances in films such as Stakeout and 3,000 Miles to Graceland, while also showing up in popular science fiction series including The X-Files and Stargate SG-1.
Although his name was not always widely known, audiences frequently recognized his face from countless screen appearances. Later in life, sorrow arrived when Jessie McKay passed away in 2008, bringing an end to a marriage that had endured for more than 5 decades. According to those close to him, the loss had a profound impact on him, and despite continuing to act occasionally, he slowly withdrew from professional work over time. Following his retirement from the spotlight, he spent his remaining years living quietly in Canada, away from the movie sets that had defined much of his career. On September 2, 2024, his life came to an end in North Vancouver, British Columbia, where he passed away at 93 years old. No public statement was released regarding the exact cause of his death. Behind him remained his children and an extensive body of film and television work spanning many decades. When his life concluded, McKay's estimated net worth stood at around $1 million. Rather than pursuing celebrity status, that wealth was earned through a lifetime of consistent work across television and film productions. Portraying the helicopter pilot was Charles A. Tamburo. Born in 1946, he is believed to have spent much of his younger years surrounded by the world of aviation. During the filming of First Blood in 1982, he was about 36 years old when he appeared as the helicopter pilot assisting law enforcement in their pursuit of Rambo. Despite the brief nature of the role, it became part of one of the movie's most dramatic sequences, where the aerial pursuit takes a deadly turn and pushes the conflict to a new level. Outside the entertainment spotlight, his professional life centered far more on high-risk aviation than on acting fame. Throughout his career, Tamburo worked extensively as a stunt pilot and aerial coordinator. Flying helicopters in demanding productions, he carried out dangerous aerial maneuvers for action films requiring exceptional skill and precision. Recognition within the industry steadily followed his work on films such as Terminator 2: Judgment Day and later True Lies, projects where helicopter stunts required remarkable accuracy and courage. Even with extensive experience, the dangers associated with the profession never completely disappeared. Among the most hazardous jobs in filmmaking is helicopter stunt flying. Pilots in this field routinely perform low-level flights, steep descents, and complex explosive action sequences under challenging conditions. For decades, Tamburo remained active in this demanding environment, lending his expertise to major productions such as Gone in 60 Seconds and numerous other action films that depended on experienced stunt aviators. Now believed to be around 80 years old as of 2026, Charles A. Tamburo has largely stepped away from the physically demanding world of stunt aviation. Through many years of aerial coordination and stunt work, he accumulated an estimated net worth of approximately $2 million. Looking back more than 4 decades after First Blood, the lives of its cast members have taken paths that many fans never anticipated. While some members of the cast are still with us and others have passed away, their contributions to the film continue to leave a lasting impression. Among all the stories from the Rambo cast, which one surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications to see more then and now stories in the future.